Structure Type 3 buildings are defined as buildings with non-combustible exterior walls and structural elements, and combustible interior components. Structure Type 4 buildings are buildings with exterior walls made of combustible materials, but with non-combustible structural elements. Structure Type 5 buildings are buildings with exterior walls and structural elements made of combustible materials. According to WAC 296.46b 334 for non-metallic sheath cable, NMB, may be installed in commercial offices and buildings that are structure type 3, 4, or 5, provided that the cable is concealed and has a 15-minute fire rating. WAC 296.46b 905 states that the owner or primary lessee of a new commercial building may perform electrical wiring in the building, provided that the building is not intended for rent, sale, or lease. However, the owner or lessee must obtain a Class B work label from the Department of Labor and Industries L&I. Class B work labels are issued by L&I to individuals who are qualified to perform limited electrical work. The work covered by a Class B work label includes installing, repairing, or replacing electrical devices, fixtures, or appliances, connecting electrical equipment to existing wiring, repairing or replacing existing electrical wiring up to 50 feet in length, installing, repairing, or replacing light fixtures or ceiling fans, and installing or repairing low-voltage wiring which is under 50 volts. To elaborate on the structure types, it's essential to consider the fire resistance and combustibility of different building materials. Structure Type 3 prioritizes non-combustible exterior protection, while allowing for combustible elements within the building's interior. This type often uses concrete or masonry for exterior walls, providing a significant barrier against fire spread from outside sources. However, the interior can incorporate wood or other combustible materials which must be protected by fire-resistant measures such as fire-rated drywall or sprinkler systems. Structure Type 4, also known as heavy timber construction, relies on the inherent fire resistance of large-dimensioned wood members. Although the exterior walls are made of combustible materials, the structural elements are non-combustible. The massive timbers used in this construction type char slowly in a fire, maintaining their structural integrity for a longer period compared to unprotected steel or smaller wood members. This allows more time for occupants to evacuate and for firefighters to control the blaze. Structure Type 5 buildings have both exterior walls and structural elements made of combustible materials. This type is the most susceptible to fire damage and requires stringent fire safety measures. These measures include fire-resistant coatings, sprinkler systems, and compartmentation to limit fire spread. Additionally, regular inspections and maintenance are crucial to ensure the ongoing effectiveness of these fire protection systems. Regarding the use of non-metallic sheathed cable, NMB, in commercial buildings, the WAC provides specific guidelines to ensure safety. While NMB is commonly used in residential wiring, its application in commercial settings is subject to restrictions due to the higher risk of fire and electrical hazards in these environments. The requirement for concealed installation and a 15-minute fire rating aims to mitigate these risks. Concealing the cable behind walls or ceilings protects it from physical damage and reduces the likelihood of it being exposed to ignition sources. A 15-minute fire rating ensures that the cable can withstand a certain level of fire exposure without failing, providing additional time for evacuation and firefighting efforts. The allowance for property owners or primary lessees to perform electrical work on their own commercial buildings under certain conditions is a notable aspect of the WAC. This provision recognizes that some owners or lessees may have the necessary skills and knowledge to safely perform electrical work, while also reducing the cost and inconvenience of hiring a licensed electrician. However, this allowance is subject to strict limitations to prevent unqualified individuals from performing hazardous work. The requirement for the building not to be intended for rent, sale, or lease ensures that the electrical work is primarily for the owner's or lessee's own use and that they have a vested interest in ensuring its safety and quality. Obtaining a Class B work label from the Department of Labor and Industries (L&I) is a crucial step in this process. This label signifies that the owner or lessee has demonstrated the necessary qualifications and understanding of electrical safety regulations to perform the work safely. The scope of work covered by a Class B work label is limited to specific tasks such as installing fixtures, connecting equipment, and repairing existing wiring. This limitation prevents unqualified individuals from undertaking more complex or hazardous electrical work. The Class B work label system is designed to strike a balance between allowing property owners or lessees to perform basic electrical work and ensuring that all electrical work is performed safely and in compliance with regulations. The requirements for obtaining and maintaining a Class B work label help to ensure that only qualified individuals are authorized to perform electrical work, reducing the risk of electrical fires, shocks, and other hazards. Furthermore, the periodic renewal of the Class B work label requires individuals to stay up to date on the latest electrical codes and safety practices, ensuring that their knowledge and skills remain current. This ongoing education is essential for maintaining a high level of electrical safety in commercial buildings. In summary, the WAC provides a comprehensive framework for regulating electrical work in commercial buildings in Washington state. The rules address various aspects of electrical safety, including construction types, cable usage, and work authorization. By adhering to these regulations, property owners, lessees, and electricians can help to ensure that electrical systems are installed and maintained safely, protecting occupants and preventing electrical hazards. To expand on the specific tasks allowed under a Class B work label, it's important to understand the limitations and requirements associated with each type of work. Firstly, installing, repairing, or replacing electrical devices, fixtures, or appliances typically involves connecting the device, fixture, or appliance to an existing electrical circuit. This may involve tasks such as replacing a light switch, installing a new light fixture, or connecting a new appliance to a receptacle. However, it does not include any work that involves modifying the existing electrical circuit or installing new circuits. Secondly, connecting electrical equipment to existing wiring is another common task covered by a Class B work label. This may involve connecting a motor, pump, or other piece of equipment to an existing electrical panel or junction box. The connection must be made in accordance with all applicable codes and standards, and the equipment must be properly grounded. Thirdly, repairing or replacing existing electrical wiring up to 50 feet in length is allowed under a Class B work label. This may involve replacing damaged or deteriorated wiring or extending an existing circuit to a new location. However, the work must be performed using the same type and size of wire as the original wiring, and all connections must be made in accordance with code. Fourthly, installing, repairing, or replacing light fixtures or ceiling fans is a common task covered by a Class B work label. This may involve replacing an old light fixture with a new one, installing a ceiling fan, or repairing a damaged light fixture. The work must be performed in accordance with code, and the fixture or fan must be properly supported and grounded. Finally, installing or repairing low-voltage wiring, which is under 50 volts, is allowed under a Class B work label. This may involve installing or repairing wiring for doorbells, thermostats, or other low-voltage systems. The work must be performed in accordance with code, and the wiring must be properly protected and supported. It is important to note that even for these limited tasks, a Class B work label holder must have a thorough understanding of electrical safety practices and codes. They must be able to identify potential hazards, use appropriate safety equipment, and perform the work in a safe and workmanlike manner. The Department of Labor and Industries, L&I, provides training and resources to help Class B work label holders stay up to date on the latest electrical codes and safety practices. This ongoing education is essential for ensuring that electrical work is performed safely and in compliance with regulations. Furthermore, it is important to remember that a Class B work label does not authorize an individual to perform any electrical work that is not specifically listed on the label. Any electrical work that is not covered by a Class B work label must be performed by a licensed electrician. Violations of these regulations can result in fines, penalties, and even criminal charges. In addition to the specific tasks covered by a Class B work label, there are also some general requirements that apply to all electrical work performed under the label. These requirements include obtaining all necessary permits, notifying L and I of the work being performed, and complying with all applicable codes and standards. Failure to comply with these requirements can result in fines, penalties, and even revocation of the Class B work label. The WAC also includes provisions for inspecting electrical work performed under a Class B work label. L&I inspectors may conduct inspections to ensure that the work is being performed safely and in compliance with regulations. If violations are found, the inspector may issue a warning, require corrective action, or even shut down the work site. The purpose of these inspections is to protect the public from electrical hazards and to ensure that all electrical work is performed to a high standard. In conclusion, the Class B work label system is a valuable tool for allowing property owners and lessees to perform limited electrical work on their own commercial buildings. However, it is essential to understand the limitations and requirements associated with the label and to comply with all applicable codes and standards. By doing so, individuals can help to ensure that electrical work is performed safely and in compliance with regulations, protecting occupants and preventing electrical hazards. The WAC regulations are complex, and it is always best to consult with a licensed electrician or L&I inspector if you have any questions or concerns about electrical work.